The gala was nothing short of spectacular. Crystal chandeliers hung from the towering ceilings, scattering prisms of light across the polished marble floors, while the soft hum of conversation and laughter mingled with the delicate strains of a string quartet. Guests, adorned in couture gowns and tailored suits, moved gracefully through the ballroom, champagne glasses in hand, exuding sophistication and affluence. Elena entered with quiet confidence, her designer gown flowing elegantly over her baby bump, a radiant smile masking the storm of anxiety stirring within her. She greeted acquaintances politely, her hand occasionally resting protectively on her stomach, instinctively shielding her unborn child from the overwhelming energy of the event. Victor moved through the crowd like a seasoned conductor, effortlessly charming clients, friends, and socialites alike. Yet, beneath the surface, subtle cracks were visible. His gaze continually darted toward his phone, messages lighting up the screen like sirens, each one demanding his attention. Occasionally, his hand brushed against Isabella, a breathtakingly beautiful socialite whose presence seemed to magnetize him, pulling his focus away from Elena. The tension between appearances and reality weighed heavily on Elena, a delicate ache pressing in her chest. Though she sensed the widening distance, she remained poised, her posture impeccable, her smile unwavering. For the world, they were the perfect couple, icons of wealth, power, and sophistication. But beneath the glittering surface, the shadows of betrayal and deceit were beginning to creep into their flawless facade, threatening to shatter the illusion of a perfect life. Isabella glided through the gala like a force of nature, every movement calculated to draw attention and admiration. Her sequined gown hugged her figure perfectly, shimmering under the chandeliers, and her laughter rang out clear and musical, turning heads as she mingled effortlessly. Victor, momentarily distracted from his own business dealings, found himself drawn to her energy, caught in the web of charm she spun with effortless grace. Every tilt of her head, every subtle brush of her hand against his arm, seemed designed to assert dominance over Elena without overt confrontation. Elena stood nearby, her presence almost eclipsed by Isabella's magnetic aura, and though she maintained her composure, she felt the sting of displacement. Isabella leaned toward Victor, her voice a sultry whisper that only he could hear, planting seeds of entitlement and desire. "You deserve someone who truly appreciates you," she murmured, her tone filled with both mock sympathy and calculated persuasion. Victor's eyes flickered with conflicted emotion, part guilt, part fascination, yet he remained helpless under Isabella's calculated charm. Isabella's mind worked swiftly, her ambition sharpening with every interaction. She envisioned humiliating Elena publicly, knowing that Victor's influence and the gala's social structure would shield her from criticism. Her confidence bordered on arrogance. She believed nothing could halt her rise to the center of Victor's life. Every smile she offered, every flirtatious glance, was a move on the chessboard of power and desire. By the end of the evening, it was clear that Isabella had positioned herself not merely as a temptress, but as a formidable force determined to claim everything Elena held dear. Elena moved through the gala with measured grace, yet her eyes couldn't help but notice the subtle signs that something was amiss. Isabella lingered a little too close to Victor during conversations, her laughter louder when he responded, her hand brushing his arm with deliberate intimacy. Victor's attention, once wholly devoted to Elena, now flickered unpredictably toward Isabella, accompanied by furtive glances at his phone. At first, Elena questioned her own perceptions, wondering if she was imagining tension where none existed, but the pattern was undeniable. A fleeting touch between Victor and Isabella sent a sharp pang of fear through Elena's chest. A smirk exchanged between them, a whisper of private amusement, confirmed what her instincts had long suspected. Her stomach tightened, not only from the anxiety gnawing at her, but from concern for the safety and emotional well-being of her unborn child. The realization hit her in waves. Betrayal was no longer a distant possibility, but a creeping reality unfolding before her eyes. Despite the storm raging inside her, Elena maintained an impeccable exterior. Her posture remained upright, her smile soft and composed, every gesture a testament to control and dignity. Each calculated movement masked the turbulence within, symbolizing a quiet strength amid chaos. While the gala glittered with wealth and glamour, Elena's resolve and poise contrasted sharply with the deceit surrounding her, quietly asserting that she would not crumble, no matter the depth of the betrayal she faced. The glittering atmosphere of the gala, once alive with laughter and music, suddenly shifted as Elena felt a wave of dizziness sweep over her. Her heart raced, sweat beading on her forehead, as the stress, exhaustion, and emotional turmoil she had been suppressing erupted all at once. She tried to steady herself against a marble column, but the world tilted violently. In a heartbeat, her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the polished floor, her designer gown pooling around her, the delicate shimmer of sequins catching the light in chaotic flashes. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Conversations ceased abruptly, and a hush descended over the room. Guests froze, some reaching instinctively toward her, while others stared in stunned silence. Cameras flashed, capturing every moment of her vulnerability. Isabella, standing a few feet away, could not contain her glee. She laughed openly, a cruel musical sound that echoed through the ballroom. Every eye that turned toward Elena seemed to magnify the humiliation, casting her not as the poised and elegant woman she usually was, but as fragile, exposed, and powerless. Victor rushed forward, panic etched across his chiseled features. He extended his hand, his voice trembling as he called her name, but the moment had already escalated beyond his control. The social hierarchy of the event shifted in an instant. The whispers of gossip and the flicker of camera flashes cemented Elena's position as the center of unwanted attention. In that single terrifying moment, the perfect facade of wealth and power crumbled, leaving Elena exposed to the judgment and scrutiny of the very world she had once navigated with confidence. Medics pushed through the crowd with practiced urgency, their hands gentle yet efficient as they guided Elena onto a stretcher. The soft beeping of medical equipment accompanied the rush of movement, a stark contrast to the earlier music and chatter of the gala. She felt the cool brush of a blanket against her skin and the firm, reassuring pressure of hands supporting her, but her mind remained sharply aware of every detail. The glances, the whispers, and most piercingly, Isabella's mocking laughter still echoing faintly in her ears. They transported Elena to a quiet, secluded lounge just beyond the ballroom, a sanctuary shielded from the prying eyes of curious guests and flashing cameras. Here she could breathe, though the humiliation lingered like a shadow, gnawing at her composure. Victor hovered nearby, torn between panic and guilt, his eyes wide as he absorbed the consequences of his actions. Yet, even in this charged silence, he failed to fully recognize his role in the chain of events that had brought her here. Elena's hands instinctively clutched her belly, drawing courage from the tiny life growing within her. Each breath she took focused on the child she had sworn to protect, a beacon of strength amidst the chaos. Vulnerable yet unbroken, she realized that even in the face of public disgrace and personal betrayal, she could endure, drawing resilience from love, maternal instinct, and an unshakable determination to survive and protect her unborn children. Isabella moved through the gala with the poise of a queen surveying her court. Every whispered comment and sidelong glance from the guests fed her sense of triumph. She caught snippets of conversation, murmurs about Elena's collapse, the shock on Victor's face, the attention now riveted on the drama she had orchestrated. Her lips curved into a smug smile, certain that she had not only humiliated Elena but also cemented her influence over Victor, who now seemed torn between guilt and awe. Her audacity drew admiration from some guests, who whispered about her boldness and charisma, oblivious to the cruelty behind her actions. Isabella basked in the power she wielded effortlessly, each interaction reinforcing her belief that she could navigate and manipulate the world around her with complete control. Yet beneath her confidence, a subtle vulnerability began to emerge. Her focus on dominance and public perception blinded her to the quiet forces she had underestimated, the protective instincts of loved ones and the consequences of overreaching ambition. Victor lingered nearby, conflicted and unsettled. The weight of guilt pressed heavily on him, a growing realization that his desire and distraction had contributed to Elena's humiliation. Meanwhile, Isabella's triumph, though dazzling on the surface, set the stage for a reckoning she could not yet anticipate. Her overconfidence, while intoxicating, left cracks in her carefully constructed facade, foreshadowing a dramatic reversal that would challenge her perceived invincibility and shift the balance of power in ways she could not foresee. The gala buzzed with a mixture of awe and tension as the doors swung open once more, revealing a figure whose presence seemed to silence the room. Damian, a tall and imposing man with sharp features and an air of controlled power, stepped in effortlessly. Rumors had always surrounded him, a billionaire with influence that rivaled even Victor's, but seeing him in person commanded instant respect. Guests turned instinctively, murmurs spreading like wildfire. "That's Damian Moreau, Isabella's brother." His gaze, icy and calculating, immediately locked on Isabella. The charm and confidence she had wielded so freely moments ago faltered under his scrutiny. Damian's eyes, sharp and discerning, seemed to pierce through the layers of deception, recognizing the manipulations and the chaos she had sown. His aura exuded authority, a tangible force that made whispers hush and feet stop mid-step. Without hesitation, he moved toward Elena, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. His presence offered a protective shield, grounding her amidst the lingering humiliation and fear. Elena felt a flicker of relief, sensing an ally of immense power and unwavering principle. Victor, observing Damian's calculated approach, felt a wave of dread. He had underestimated the ripple effect of his actions, the consequences extending far beyond his personal guilt. Damian's mere presence shifted the entire balance of power in the room. Isabella's smirk faltered, her ambitions suddenly vulnerable under the weight of moral authority and familial loyalty. In that moment it became clear, the game had changed and justice had found its unexpected enforcer. Damian's presence alone seemed to demand attention, but he wasted no time making his intentions clear. He stepped directly in front of Isabella, his posture commanding, his gaze icy. The music, the laughter, even the murmurs of the crowd seemed to fade as he addressed her in a voice that was calm, deliberate, and unmistakably authoritative. "Your actions tonight," he began, "have not only endangered and humiliated an innocent woman, but you have also betrayed every ounce of trust placed in you." Isabella's eyes widened, a flicker of panic breaking through the confident mask she had worn all evening. Damian laid bare her manipulations with precision, the whispered words, the strategic flirtations, the deliberate attempts to embarrass Elena in front of the entire social elite. He described how she had preyed on Victor's weaknesses, exploiting his distraction and ambition to orchestrate humiliation and assert control. The guests reacted instantly. Whispers erupted into murmurs of shock, and heads turned in disbelief as the story unfolded. Victor froze, his face pale, guilt and fear etched into every line. Elena, seated and exhausted, felt a strange relief as Damian's words made clear that justice was no longer just a private hope, it was unfolding publicly. Isabella's confidence crumbled in real time. The smirk that had once charmed the room vanished, replaced by desperation and disbelief. Her calculated poise shattered under the weight of exposure, leaving her vulnerable and humiliated. The reversal of fortune was dramatic, almost theatrical, as the very social power she had wielded so brazenly turned against her, affirming that no manipulation could stand against truth and authority. Victor approached Elena cautiously, his steps hesitant, eyes filled with a mixture of guilt, fear, and longing. The hum of the gala continued around them, but his focus narrowed entirely to her. "Elena," he began, his voice trembling, "I failed you, failed us. My actions tonight, my distractions, everything I allowed. It was wrong. I never meant to hurt you like this." Each word carried the weight of his realization, the raw acknowledgement of betrayal and the consequences he could no longer escape. Elena, still regaining her composure after the collapse and public scrutiny, met his gaze with calm dignity. She listened intently, her hands gently resting on her belly, the presence of her unborn child grounding her strength. "Victor," she replied steadily, "acknowledgement is a start, but trust is earned, not given freely. Actions must align with words. You cannot undo what happened, but you can choose to act responsibly from now on. Her tone was firm yet tempered with grace, setting clear boundaries that respected both her own dignity and the safety of her unborn child. Damian remained close, a silent sentinel ensuring that the manipulations and cruelty of Isabella could no longer threaten Elena. His protective aura provided an unspoken assurance that justice had been served and that Elena and her child were safe. As the gala drew to a close, Elena's poise and resilience shone brighter than ever. Cameras captured her composed elegance, whispers of admiration circulating through the crowd. She had reclaimed her dignity, asserting not through confrontation alone, but through strength, integrity, and the quiet power of surviving betrayal. In that moment, she embodied victory over deceit and the unshakable force of moral and emotional resilience. Months after the gala's chaos, Elena welcomed her twins into the world. Healthy, strong, and radiant, a living testament to resilience, hope, and the life she had fought to protect. Holding them close, she marveled at the tiny hands and feet that represented not just new beginnings, but the strength she had drawn from surviving public humiliation and personal betrayal. Each cry, each movement, was a reminder of her determination to create a safe, loving environment for her children, free from manipulation or deceit. Rebuilding her life alongside Victor became a deliberate and conscious effort. The relationship they nurtured now rested on a foundation of trust, respect, and shared responsibility. Victor's prior mistakes lingered as cautionary memories, but Elena's guidance and insistence on accountability transformed their connection into one of mutual care and understanding. Isabella, whose arrogance had once threatened to destabilize Elena's world, faded into obscurity. Her schemes, once bold and confident, had unraveled publicly, leaving her ambitions thwarted and her influence diminished. Damian continued to play a quiet but essential role, ensuring that Elena and her children remained protected from future threats. His presence was a subtle reinforcement of family loyalty, a reminder that vigilance and moral authority could uphold justice even when power and charm attempted to override it. Elena's journey, from the pinnacle of societal scrutiny to personal empowerment, became a story whispered among friends and allies, a testament to courage, maternal strength, and triumph over deceit. Her life, filled now with dignity, love, and stability, stood as proof that integrity and resilience can prevail even in the face of the most dramatic and public betrayals, leaving a legacy of hope and unwavering strength for her children and all who witnessed her story.